Recently, my night routine became non-existent and I found myself just spending most of my evenings scrolling my phone and wasting the night away. If you are in that position, I want to share some of my top tips and what I'm doing now to make sure I have the most productive evening possible. Number one is probably a big offender for a lot of us, and it's to reduce, limit, or even eliminate the screen time at night. If you can try and reduce those distractions, a lot of distractions these days seem to be like their screens, whether it's watching TV at night or it is your phone and you're doing like that doom scroll. If you can even set aside like an hour at night to not touch your phone, to not watch TV, that can really help just make that time productive time that would have been time where you might have just been sitting there watching TV or scrolling. I'm really trying now to make a major effort not to use my phone in the evenings. I first thought about not doing it when my kids are still awake just because there's such limited time that they're home before they go to bed and I really want to be focused on them. But then also that's kind of bled into after they go to bed because it has an impact on my productivity. By no means am I saying, or do I want for myself my entire night to be like go, crazy productive, because you need to be able to de-stress and relax a little bit. But there are other ways to de-stress and relax other than just scrolling your phone. And of course, there are so many studies out there that show if you are using devices right before you go to bed, that it can really have an impact on your sleep. So even from that standpoint, it can be really helpful as well. I personally love catching up on some TV shows, or I found podcasts or like YouTube videos that I don't need to actually watch the screen have been really helpful for me. So if it's something where I can just kind of listen in the background, I will use that as something to fold laundry to or do dishes. Sometimes I will prop up like my iPad and I take it around the house with me. I very rarely watch actual TV. I do everything on my iPad and bring it around the house with me so I can do chores, but I like to watch shows or listen to podcasts. But if I'm doing shows or movies, I want to make sure that they're not overly complicated or too engaging, or else I find myself just focused on the TV. So throw on a podcast or one of your old favorite shows that you've seen 1,000 times before, just as a little bit of a distraction while you get some of your evening chores done. Which rolls right into evening chores. I have some non-negotiable evening chores and some things that I've really implemented recently. I've always had a non-negotiable of cleaning the kitchen every single night, and I think that kind of slipped away from me. I have found that I've been spending a lot of mornings like finishing up the dishes that I didn't quite clean, or still like sweeping up a little bit of a mess under the table or wiping off the table in the morning, and it just takes away so much time in the morning that I can be using for many other things. And it makes me feel like I'm starting the day behind when I want to start the day ahead. So really making it a non-negotiable to have a clean kitchen at night, I think is extremely important. It's such an impactful area in your home, at least in my home. The second I walk down the stairs, I see my kitchen, and when I walk down there in the mornings and if it's messy, it's just like instant stress. And this next one I think is a little bit personal in terms of chores. Everyone kind of has those chores that they let linger a little bit too long, whether it's your laundry that you washed that day but you haven't folded or haven't put away. Make it a point to wrap up your day by making sure that task gets finished before you go to bed. I like to make sure my kids' backpacks are emptied and ready for the next day. I like to make sure all of my laundry is put away, or whatever chores I was focused on that day, I have wrapped up. And talking about my kids' backpacks kind of leads into the next thing. I like to make sure I'm prepared for the next day from, I want to say like a physical standpoint. So that is getting backpacks ready for kids in the morning. I pack their lunches the night before. For myself personally and for my kids, I lay out what clothing I'm going to wear the next day, or even for myself, even just thinking it through is really helpful. And part of doing all of this and preparing for all of the things that you're going to have to do tomorrow is looking at your calendar. I so embarrassingly just had a moment not long ago. This is all necessitating me focusing on revamping my evening routine and just really making sure I'm doing my evening routine is I had a call that didn't sync on my calendar. Honestly, I have no idea what happened, but it didn't make it to my computer, and I live and die by my calendar, and I missed a call that was really important for me to be on. So reviewing everything that you have on your schedule the night before would have helped save me in that situation, because I would have seen it on my phone and would have seen that I had that call, and I would have thought through my day and how the process was going to go and known that I had that work call and wouldn't have been in that pickle. So reviewing everything you're doing the day before is going to help you know what outfits you need to pick out. I look at the weather, of course, but will also help you to know if you need to pack lunches, if you have other activities that you need to be prepared for, if you need to have like a gym bag ready to go. Sometimes I literally write out like an hour by hour schedule of everything that I want to get done. I do that when I have a really, really busy day ahead coming up, but you can just kind of at least think it through. That in itself is a really good positive step. Right now it's fall, and it is my favorite time to get outside in the evening and go for a walk. So if there's something that you can do that is a way to get a little bit of physical activity in the evenings, I think that's just such a nice way to end the day by going for a walk outside. If you can't go for a walk outside, maybe you have a treadmill that you can use or a gym that you could go to if you haven't gotten a workout in already. But again, when the weather is nice, I love going outside. If you have a family like I do, or a spouse or a roommate, and you want to go for a walk with somebody else, it's a great time to catch up and chat. Or let's say I want to do some doom scrolling on my phone. We happen to have a treadmill in our basement, so a more productive way of doing that would be to pop downstairs on the treadmill and then let myself scroll away while I get in a little bit of physical activity. And I think that's just, like I said, so nice before bed, and really especially nice if you can get a tiny bit of outside time. The main thing I'll say when it comes to an evening routine, and this is something I need to remind myself of constantly, is to be realistic. A lot of times I'll get towards the end of the day and start thinking, oh my gosh, I still have like 6 things I wanted to do today. I'll do them all tonight. That's not gonna happen. You have to be realistic with yourself. And I think having 1, maybe 2 tasks, depending on how complicated they are, on top of your normal, like I want to clean up the kitchen, I want to prepare for the next day, all of those basic things, having maybe 1 or 2 extra to-do items on your longer to-do list will help with your long-term goals, will help you chip away at maybe some house projects you have. I'm starting to do a little bit of DIY crafting for my kids' birthday party. So like I'm thinking about doing that and doing a little bit each night. I have an Etsy shop, so like sometimes I need to fill orders, things like that. And when I want to do 7 things in the night, it just leads to overwhelm and not really doing any of them, or doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and not finishing any tasks. So reducing that number, honing in on what you want to do, and being as realistic as possible is really, really helpful. Again, I don't want to make it seem like you have to have your entire evening as go, 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 go. It is nice to relax on the couch, again, with a roommate, with your spouse, with your kids, whatever it might be, and just chat. Or hey, sometimes it is nice to sit down and not do anything else and watch a show or something. So those are the things that I am doing to try and get my evening routine back on track. And honestly, with a good evening routine, it's gonna have more of an impact on the next day. Like I said, you're gonna start feeling ahead as opposed to feeling behind. If there's anything that you do in your evening routine that you feel like is especially helpful, tips, tricks, maybe how you avoid the scrolling on your phone, let me know in the comments below. I would love to chat with you and bounce ideas off of one another. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, but until next time, I will see you all later.